This is a second attempt to make this video. My video got taken down. I got a strike against me, said it violated terms of service. But that's because they didn't watch the entire video. They saw the parts where Vonhelton was talking and claiming that nobody died at Sandy Hook and all those inflammatory things that Vonhelton says. And they thought that that was the point that I was putting out. So I got a video flagged down because I had Vonhelton talking. And so when you watch this video, you see the little squirrely guy, talking about how Sandy Hook didn't happen. That's not me. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to prove that guy wrong. So the staff at YouTube needs to watch the entire video instead of watching, hear the inflammatory things that Vonhelton says. If I heard that, I'd want to take that video down too. But that I had to put that up to make the point that I'm making. How Vonhelton is wrong and many of these hoaxers are wrong. Now, some of these hoaxers, I don't know their motives, and maybe they just believe the sensational stuff they see on the internet anymore. But Sandy Hook really did happen. And that's kind of the point this video is. This video is not against the victims of Sandy Hook, but for the victims of Sandy Hook, and against those who harass those victims. Yes, that's true. People who've lost children at Sandy Hook have been called on the phone, been sent letters and harassed and being told that they're liars and everything else. And I don't know if it's still going on because it's been several years. It's been, 6 years since that happened. But that's the point of my video. So please watch the video in entirety and get the point. And don't flag this down unless you hate children or you don't want people to find out what happened in reality and think about what really happened. Flagging this video down means that you support the Sandy Hook hoaxers, and you support the harassment of those families who suffered in that tragic event where some selfish, evil person came in there and killed young children. That's a horrible thing. And what makes it worse is that these people go around saying it was a hoax and it never happened. The government pulled it off. And I'm trying to fight that. And, I don't know. It just kind of pisses me off. I got flagged down for making a video like this. I mean, I can't do Hangouts or anything like that anymore because YouTube doesn't do their job and watch the entire video, I guess. All right, I'm bitched enough. Let's go to the video.
It's not real. The whole damn thing is a fake. It's a fraud. It's not real. It never happened. But see, I'm being terrorized by these people who come on BitChute and leave nasty videos about me, leave nasty comments about me, and BitChute and Discus are nowhere to be found, and YouTube allowed this shit to happen, Google has allowed this shit to happen, Facebook has allowed this shit to happen, and Twitter has allowed this shit to happen. Why, guys? Why? Why are you allowing a bunch of terrorists to extort money out of good American citizens over a fucking hoax? Why? Why are you allowing that? Why are you allowing these people to destroy people's marriages, get people fired from their jobs, get their YouTube videos taken down, get their fucking websites taken down? Why? Why are you allowing that? Why aren't you stepping up? Maybe I'm right. Maybe a lawsuit needs to happen, and in that way, people will wake up and start, calling these assholes on their bluff, man. Sandy Hook never happened. There's nobody died. Nobody died at Sandy Hook, man. Here's the damn table again. Nobody died at Sandy Hook. I'm sorry. It never happened. Sorry about your luck, but it never fucking happened.
Here is blaming the reason his wife left him, not because of him abusing and taking her off her medication and pulling a gun out on her, is because he spoke out against Sandy Hook. He started out that it was Secular Opinion's fault all this happened. Before that, it was Kenny KPZ. Whoever is pointing out his faults, they're the reason all these bad things happen to him. Those are the scapegoats for him. So all those people who, say that Sandy Hook really did happen are at fault for Vonhelton losing his kids and everything else. And then Vonhelton's claiming that Sandy Hook never happened. Now, I never went to Sandy Hook. I've seen the off ramp as you go into Connecticut from New York on I-95, where I think the first or second exit says Sandy Hook on it. I remember seeing that. Right there, Newtown, Connecticut. I don't know if Sandy Hook's a part of town or whatever it is. But Vonhelton, I believe, is totally full of crap. He never leaves his trailer. He's never done any investigation. He's never been to Sandy Hook either. So he has no idea. He makes these claims based on, well, the neighbor said, out of some website that doesn't give a source that he shows, and even in this video, you got to watch it because it's on BitChute. You have to scroll down a little bit, but Sandy Hook, you'll see one about Sandy Hook has a picture of Sandy Hook Elementary, and that'll say that that the neighbor said that the school was condemned or whatever, and because of asbestos. Well, I worked in a naval hospital they detected asbestos. They didn't close down the hospital. They fixed it while the hospital's still operational. They can fix the problem while the school's operational. So the asbestos theory is kind of out the window. Besides asbestos was in the roof, they could tear off the roof and put a new roof in during spring break or during Christmas break or any, I don't know if they do it while students are in the school, but there was no construction vehicles there for any construction going on at the time, any of the videos of Vonhelton shows. Now, I've seen a lot of videos about the hoax, and they intrigued me too at first, but I had to think about it logically.
There was no shooting. Well, there was a shooting, but it was staged, because the building was shut down.
Vonhelton says here makes no sense. There was a shooting. There was no shooting. Oh, there was a shooting, but the school was condemned, shut down. But they had a shooting in there. It was all staged. So they brought fake people in there and shot fake people, I guess. But the whole thing, think about how hard it would be for the government to pull this off, logistically and everything else. I mean, for one, you'd have to have all the people that lived around that school, and gunshots can be heard from several blocks, because I've heard them in the neighborhood. I lived in a rough neighborhood in Atlanta when I first moved out here. And you can hear gunshots from a long ways off. So you'd have to have every one of those people in on the gag for, I don't know how many blocks radius. Just take a guess, maybe 4 blocks radius around that school, that they would have to all be in on this hoax. Then, you'd have to gather up a whole bunch of fake parents. A school probably around 300 kids or more. 300 is probably pretty conservative amount. There's probably more than that. That this school somehow was part of a hoax, and you had all these people had to be paid to play out this part. There had to be some incentive for all these people to pretend like they were parents of the kids at this school. Then you have to get kids to lie, to go along with the lie. Now, how are you going to do that? Anybody that's been a parent, Vonhelton's a parent, but he doesn't really take care of his kids. Peter lets his mom take care of them, the school, whatever else. But those of us who really take care of our kids would know that kids are not very good liars. Especially if you're going to lie, you got to actually add emotions to your lie to make it believable. So you'd have to actually, all these kids have to be coached and trained to go along with this lie that their classmates were shot, they were survivors of some mass shooting. It's just not possible. That is impossible. To me, enough proof that Sandy Hook had to have happened, because you can't get that many kids to lie that saying that it happened, and these hired that many crisis actors to pretend like they're parents. And what, they hire midgets to pretend like they were the kids? Is that how they did it?
But I guess in the process would have been as long as I make that money, I don't get a ban if I lose my Vonhelton
is slandering Lenny Fosner, Aaron Gray, and Tiffany Mosier, claiming that they're making money off of Sandy Hook, that they were able to take advantage of the situation at the so-called hoax. Now, think about where Sandy Hook is. It's right outside of New York City, Newtown, Connecticut, which is pretty much just right across the border from Connecticut. When New York City ends at the Connecticut border, if I can remember right in my head, the geography of that area. Sandy Hook is right there near Long Island. All the boroughs of New York City, all the cities that surround New York City and Connecticut, and it's probably one of the most populous areas in the United States. For them to pull this off, to have that many people in on this lie, is absolutely mind-boggling stupid. But, if the government was actually going to pull it off, let's entertain the idea that they did it that the government did this for something other than Lenny Posler making millions, I guess, like Vonhelton claims. But let's say the government planned to pull this off. What would be the purpose? Well, we know soon afterwards the government tried to push gun control and gun confiscation legislation that never made it through. It was a big debate after the Sandy Hook incident, but the government was never able to pull it off. So that would mean the government failed and spent millions on a failure. So it doesn't really make sense. I don't believe the government did it, but if they did, they would have to have a purpose. And that means that everybody in on this would have to have the same agenda. So you could pool a bunch of people from anywhere in the United States, and you'd have different opinions on just about every topic, abortion, gun control, and many other things. So if the government had this, the one thing that all these people would agree upon would be on gun control. They might be, different political views and different ideas on different things and different opinions on different things because people do not agree on everything. You can't find one segment of society where you grab a bunch of people and have them where they all agree on one thing, on everything. I mean, they might agree on one thing. Not even that. But if the government was in on it, if it was a conspiracy, then all these people involved in it would have to be, anti-Second Amendment or pro-gun control or whatever term you want to call them. That would have to be imperative in order for there'd have to be a reason. Okay, what I'm saying is, if the government pulled this off, they would have to have a reason. And logically, if you know about the whole issue around Sandy Hook and the things that happened afterwards, gun control would have to be that reason. So everybody involved in Sandy Hook would have to be pro-gun control.
Sandy Hook was a hoax. The Obama administration used the Sandy Hook drill as a means to try and destroy our Second Amendment rights. And it damn near worked. That's the scary part. The scary part about it is we almost lost our Second Amendment rights over this damn thing. And it wasn't even real.
I'm not going to argue totally with Vonhelton on this. The government did try to use this as a means to try to pass gun control legislation. Just like Pearl Harbor. They used Pearl Harbor to get the United States involved in the war, in World War II. Whether you think the United States knew that Japanese were going to bomb it or they didn't know, one thing is for sure, that sparked the American public to be in favor of getting involved in World War II. Prior to Pearl Harbor, the United States figured it was Europe's and Southeast Asia's problem and not ours, and we should just stay out of it and not get involved. But after Pearl Harbor, the opinions of the American people changed. They thought the Obama administration may have thought that they could use this like Pearl Harbor was used. But the government would have to have been involved to pull this off, because how many people would have to be, you'd have to have police department, FBI, and everybody else on the take for this to be pulled off. Because the FBI would go in there and say, hey, this didn't really happen. Now, Vonhelton claims the FBI said that, but never furnishes any proof. He has a few memes that he shows, and shows an article out of some obscure a fake news website, but he never has any actual legitimate proof. There's no government documents that the government says this was a hoax or a fake or it was a drill or anything. The government, just as anybody else, believes that Sandy Hook really happened. I believe it really happened because it's impossible to pull off without using the government, and therefore Sandy Hook did happen. But let me get back to the point of the gun control thing. Now, if the government did pull this off, then, and it's the only way it could have been pulled off, then everybody would have been on board with gun control. But that's not true. Many of the Sandy Hook parents were pro-Second Amendment people, and I'm going to show you a clip. It's about 2 to 3 minutes, about 3 minutes, 3 minutes and some change left over. But just listen to this guy and then make your opinion that that's the opinion of the people who pulled off a fake hoax.
My name is Bill Stevens. I live in Newtown. My 5th grade daughter was in lockdown on December 14, 2012. Unfortunately, her classmate's little sister was murdered in Sandy Hook that day when lockdown and 911 weren't enough to protect her from an evil person. Not protect her from an assault rifle or some type of inanimate object, but from an evil person. Quite different from the elaborate security you all enjoy here at the Capitol. It was fun getting frisks on the way in. Section 15 reads very clearly, we all know what the Second Amendment says, but Section 15 in the state constitution says very clearly, every citizen has a right to bear arms in defense of himself and the state. There's no registration, there's no permitting, there's no background checks. It's quite clear. These rights are inalienable and endowed by our Creator, not you politicians, to all citizens regardless of gender, race, or creed. In order to limit the rights of individuals, there is something called due process, and legislation is not due process. You want to take my rights away? Let's go to court. My guns are not dangerous. They are at home, locked up, collecting dust and cat hair. But criminals and tyrants especially, beware. Lockdown is not an option at the Stevens residence, and 911 will be dialed after the security of my home has been established. Charlton Heston made the phrase, "from my cold dead hands" famous, and I will tell you here today, you will take my ability to protect my Victoria from my cold dead hands.
You can see from Bill Stevens' testimony, a parent who had a child in Sandy Hook at the time, the school that the hoaxers say was closed down at the time and all that stuff, means if all the things the hoaxer says, including Vonhelton, is true, then this guy never had a child in Sandy Hook, and he would be in on some government conspiracy. And if he was in on some government conspiracy, why is he going against what the government is trying to pull off in their conspiracy? You get what I'm saying? This guy's testimony to me proves the hoaxer's wrong, because there would not be somebody with this opinion if all these people got together to pull off this hoax. Why would you be against what the purpose of the hoax was all about? Why would he just go out and say the hoax never happened if he disagreed with what the government's intentions were? And that is, the gun control issue. So I don't care what you think about gun control. You can be pro-gun, anti-gun. I don't care what your opinion is. But what I do care is that Sandy Hook had to have happened for this guy to have this opinion.